Well, here's the point. This president and those in power, those who benefit from keeping things the way they are counting on your cynicism. They know they can't win you over with their policies. So they're hoping to make it as hard as possible for you to vote and to convince you that your vote does not matter. That's how a democracy withers, until it's no democracy at all. And we cannot let that happen. Do not let them take away your power. Do not let them take away your democracy.
Let's take a moment to acknowledge how abnormal that is. For a former president to feel the need not only to address the country and speak out against his successor, but to warn us that our very democracy is on the line this November. That's not normal. Former presidents don't say that. He said that because he had to. He said that because it's true. They are trying to take away our power. They are trying to take away our democracy, and we won't let them. My name is Pablo. I'm the host of Indivisible Weekly, and we have so much work to do. Thanks for joining us. Last night was another incredible night at the Democratic National Convention. The theme of the night was a more perfect union, and we heard so many incredible speeches on that exact topic, our union, how imperfect it is, how it can be perfected, and how we can lose it all together if we don't put in the work. Here's more from Barack Obama.
You can give our democracy new meaning. You can take it to a better place. You're the missing ingredient. The ones who will decide whether or not America becomes the country that fully lives up to its creed. That work will continue long after this election. But any chance of success depends entirely on the outcome of this election.
So, before we go any further, before we dive into some of our favorite moments from a historic night at the DNC, let's talk about the work that we need to do between now and November 3rd. We have 75 days to go before the election, and we need to make every single one of those days count. Here at Indivisible, we are in the middle of our second Windivisible week of action. And literally right now, all across the country, hundreds of Indivisibles are making calls, texting voters, writing letters to voters, and organizing their communities to vote and win this November. This is how we use our power. This is how we keep our power. And we need you to be a part of it. So visit 2020.indivisible.org right now. The link is in the description below. You can come back here afterwards if you want, but it is absolutely essential that we do everything we can to save our democracy this November. And if an existential threat to our democracy isn't enough motivation, I want you to picture what we can accomplish with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the White House and majorities in the House and the Senate. Think about the big, bold, structural change that we'll be able to fight for from day one if we put in the work and win. Think about how we'll dig out of this crisis. Think about how we'll fight for DC statehood. Think about how we'll reform our democracy, address systemic racism, and make this a better country tomorrow than it is today. Think about it, and then listen to someone who will play a pivotal role in that big, bold, structural change.
We all need to be in the fight to get Joe and Kamala elected. And after November, we all need to stay in the fight to get big things done. We stay in this fight so that when our children and our grandchildren ask what we did during this dark chapter in our nation's history, we will be able to look them squarely in the eye and say, we organized, we persisted, and we changed America.
We all need to be in the fight so that we can stay in the fight next year and change this country for the better. Because there are a lot of things to be hopeful for. There are a lot of things worth fighting for. And yes, the stakes are high, but there's also a lot of reasons to be optimistic. And that brings us to the best moment of last night, to the most historic moment of this entire convention, when Senator Kamala Harris officially accepted the nomination to be the next Vice President of the United States. And in doing so, she reminded us of the promise of America, of what this country can be at its best, of how we can all see a little bit of ourselves in her story. A story that, like so many of ours, starts with her parents.
My mother taught me that service to others gives life purpose and meaning. And oh, how I wish she were here tonight, but I know she's looking down on me from above. I keep thinking about that 25-year-old Indian woman, all of 5 feet tall, who gave birth to me at Kaiser Hospital in Oakland, California. On that day, she probably could have never imagined that I would be standing before you now and speaking these words. I accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States of America. I do so committed to the values she taught me, to the word that teaches me to walk by faith and not by sight, and to a vision passed on through generations of Americans, one that Joe Biden shares, a vision of our nation as a beloved community, where all are welcome, no matter what we look like, no matter where we come from, or who we love.
That vision of a beloved community is the vision that inspires millions of families, like my own, to come to the United States. That vision is the promise of this country. And no, we're not there yet. But tell me it's not worth fighting for. It's been an inspiring few days at the Democratic National Convention. It's been an honest few days too. We've heard some hard truths about what'll happen if we don't win in November, but we've also gotten a glimpse of what can happen if we do win. And it all comes down to tonight, the final night at the Democratic National Convention, with a fitting theme, America's Promise. We've already heard from many of our favorite leaders this week, and we'll hear from many more tonight. And at the end of the night, Vice President Joe Biden will officially accept the Democratic nomination for President of the United States. Tonight's the most important night of the convention, and you won't want to miss it. So, make sure you're following Indivisible on all of our platforms as we bring you live coverage from the convention all night long. As always, we'll be live streaming the entire night right here on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, and on Twitter. And we'll be posting highlights from the entire night on our Twitter as well. Thanks for tuning into today's special edition episode of Indivisible Weekly. Be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks so much for following along all week long. We'll be back tomorrow with one last special edition episode of Indivisible Weekly, where we'll bring you all the highlights from day 4, the last night of the Democratic National Convention. Thanks, everyone.